All right, welcome back to part 2 of French Foreign Legion training. Let's go.
16 weeks of basic training in southwestern France at the garrison of Castelnaudary. Few recruits know what goes on here, but the rumors alone drive some away.
We heard that people got beaten to death in training, and if you made a mistake, you could get shot, and that their live fire exercises were really live fire. We'd heard things like that and wondered whether or not they were true.
He never mentioned that they weren't true. But their basic training, just look at it, said they do 3 weeks before their basic training. So if they don't cut the 3 weeks before then they're gone. So then you say you have a better group of guys, and you have a 16-week training, which I'm assuming not all of them make it through the 16 weeks. And if you compare that to, say, the Army has, a 9-week basic training. The Marines have a 12-week basic training. So already you're almost double the length of the Army basic training.
The truth itself is tough enough. The pounding begins immediately. An intense test of physical fitness, mental well-being, and the sheer will to live.
Different style than the Americans. It's a lot of physical. You go. You have no choice. Don't sit down. Don't cry about it. You go. You're a Legionnaire.
Legionnaires train as they would fight, and fight as they train. And they're trained to be expendable. More often than not, they are sent to some of the most dangerous places in the world.
They usually like to send the Legion first, because if things do work out fine, then they can give the glory to the French army. And if they don't, well, so a few foreigners got killed. No big deal.
Well, in this instance, they can just send the Legionnaire. And someone dies, hey, no French citizens were killed.
1997. Chaos breaks out in the Republic of Congo. Thousands of Europeans are trapped in the middle of a civil war. Most European governments stand silently in the wings, too nervous to intervene. But the French have an option the others lack. An army of foreigners willing to fight for France, or die trying.
I think they are more disposable. They have accepted to give their life for their new family. They are eventually ready for death.
They're ready to die for a country that is going to completely ignore the fact that they're even there. That says a lot about these guys. In a good way.
The Legion deploys 600 commandos from the 2nd Paratroop Regiment. On the ground, they encounter the legacy of France's colonial past. Anti-French sentiment on both sides makes the Legionnaires targets themselves. After days of attacks and counterattacks, they round up the foreign nationals and shepherd them to the airport. One Legionnaire is killed. 5 others gravely wounded. Ian Lawson is a 13-year veteran of French Foreign Legion.
We evacuated 6,500 people over there in just under 2 weeks.
I'm kind of confused because I thought it said that you could only do 5 years in the French Foreign Legion. It just said he was 13 years. So maybe I'm missing something.
Some refused to go in to do the job. They said it was too dangerous. We were asked to do it, went and we did the job. Showed the world that we could do it. But that's the way it goes.
That idea is drilled into every recruit at Castelnaudary. Once the order is given, the mission is sacred. And it will be accomplished.
Definitely going hands-on there. I liked it.
After a few weeks of basic training, recruits break into smaller units and travel to camps outside Castelnaudary. A 20-minute drive to the north is a secluded French Foreign Legion installation known as the Farm. The recruits suffer together as a team. The training methods aren't sophisticated. Exposure to cold. Not enough food.
All right, so they're past their first 3 weeks, then they went through their 16 weeks. Now they're in a small unit, kind of similar to how Army Special Forces would do it, or even SEAL teams would do it, break into smaller units and get a more team approach.
Not enough sleep.
Being an American, I was used to eating a normal breakfast. Breakfast in the Legion is a small piece of bread and a cup of coffee. And you don't get to eat anything until about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. You're always running a food deficit, so you're starving to death constantly cold.
Soon enough, some are desperate to stop. A handful desert every year. Those caught may suffer beatings and imprisonment. The Legion's history of brutality is well documented, but also well hidden.
That don't make much sense.
It's about teamwork, an esprit de corps, to create the kind of soldiers who'll stick together in the face of anything.
The Legion has a motto, Legio Patria Nostra. The Legion is our homeland. You give up all your ties to everything else and you swear allegiance to the Legion.
The force of the Legion is that we are all here, united for the same cause. Different cultures, different traditions, different religions, different colors, and different mentalities.
Instead of fragmenting the unit,
That looks pretty intense.
their diversity forges a bond that keeps them together.
For those of you that served in combat or just served in general, you know that the bond that you have with your brother next to you is unbreakable.
After a while, nationalities fade away. It's first month, you're an American. But after a while, once we get to know your comrades, then that fades away. You're no longer an American.
Since the Legion has 100-odd nationalities serving, it can draw on the experience of just about every nation in the world. So rather than having a unique way of doing things, the Legion can provide 100 different ways of doing things.
I don't know if you get this vibe, but you could tell that guy is super intelligent. I mean, this just goes to show you that when you're out in public, don't just pick a fight with somebody you don't know, because you might come across a guy like that doesn't look like much, but he will kill you.
Another force bonds the soldiers together.
Rangers.
Language.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Une Rangers.
French is the only language every recruit speaks.
Engagé volontaire, aide-moi à vous avoir mon lieutenant. Béret.
Many arrive not knowing a single word.
He simply showed up at the door, wanting to be a Legionnaire. He's Mongolian, and of course they have a totally different alphabet and culture.
C'est une Rangers. Répétez. C'est une Rangers.
We took him in just like the others, but of course, it's hard, because we've never had a Mongolian, and our two languages are so different.
When you first join the Foreign Legion, it's a jungle. You've got a very, very bad level of French. Guys who've got 2 months of service in the army or in the Foreign Legion, it's normal they're not going to speak the language.
That's wild. 2 months.
The Legion makes sure you learn, one way or another.
It's complete immersion. I mean, you look at most of our language programs at our fastest, even in the military, the fastest language program you're going to probably find is 4 months.
You learn faster, you get your head kicked in. It starts off, and they're really reasonably lenient if you don't understand things. They take into account that you've only been there a short period of time, but the longer you're there, the more they expect you to know. And if you don't get with the program fast, it can get quite painful.
I like how he's so super vague about what he says, but if you look, he's just smirking just ever so slightly.
After a few weeks, a new devotion sets in. A devotion to the Legion itself, above all else.
All right. If you like videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for part 3.